Well, should we do The Brothers Grimm? Because it's, you know, it is kind of big movie of the week, and it's a new Terry Gilliam movie, and I can't believe that I'm talking about a new Terry Gilliam movie with a heavy heart. I mean, it seems like such an unlikely thing. As you know, I've been a huge fan of Gilliam's all the way through his career. I thought that Brazil was one of the 10 best movies, you know, certainly one of the 10 best British movies, but one of the 10 best movies, I think. I absolutely loved it. I liked The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. I thought 12 Monkeys was a wonderful piece of work. I think he's one of our great visionary directors who always has fights with his producers, but usually triumphs. In fact, had always triumphed up until the case of The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, which famously never came to fruition and ended up being a documentary called Lost in La Mancha about the project literally falling down around his ears, although he still hopes that he will get it up and running again. When The Man Who Killed Don Quixote fell apart, the story is that Johnny Depp and Terry Gilliam made a pact with each other. They both go off and make a mainstream movie, and then they come back and get Don Quixote off the ground again. Depp obviously went off and did Pirates of the Caribbean, for which I have never forgiven him, despite the fact I think he's a great actor, and I think he has great things in him still. I watched Ed Wood again the other day, and he is so good in Ed Wood. Terry Gilliam managed to get himself, I think, saddled with The Brothers Grimm, which is based on a script by Aaron Kruger, who's a bit of a hack, who did the Americanized version of The Ring. And he's a perfectly adequate hack, but he is a hack. And the story is that the Brothers Grimm are real brothers, as indeed they really were. But at the beginning of the movie, rather than being sort of bookish intellectuals, they are con merchants who go around the country finding out about people's folklorish fears, then making spoof versions of those fears, which they then exorcise for money. So they're basically scam artists. And they are then required to go and visit a village from whence children are being stolen. And the village sits on the edge of this huge great wood, and when they go into the wood they discover that actually all the fairy tales that have been haunting them are real and true. There really is a huge tower with an ice princess in it who's been asleep for 500 years. There really are wolves which transform into men. There really are Little Red Riding Hood characters running around. So it's basically the nightmare becomes reality. Now you would think that this is perfect Gilliam territory. Here's a clip with the three main characters: Matt Damon, Heath Ledger doing English accents, and Lena Headey, about whom more in a moment.
Look, if you won't guide us, would you at least give us a map?
A map wouldn't do you any good.
It'd do us a lot more good than it would do you. At least we can read. Come on, Jake.
You people think you know everything. I've been to the city. My father saved every penny he earned to buy me a proper education.
Ah, money down the drain, if you ask me.
You're right. After he died, my sisters were left alone. They were the first to be taken.
Oh, that's why they call you cursed. Yeah.
So tell me again, famous Brother Grimm, how exactly do you intend to save us? I think I'll do my own searching.
Given that this is Napoleonic-occupied Germany, why do they speak in this English way?
Well, Gilliam himself answered that question, didn't he? He said because, you know, having them speaking in cod German, which of course, you know, would be funny, nevertheless the gag would wear thin. So basically he gave them what he considered to be flat accents, and flat accents comes out as English accents. And actually, it's not a problem. They do talk in no fixed accents, and there is a sort of accentual problem during the movie, which is that you do wonder at some point exactly what accents they're doing. But I have to say it's the least of the film's problems. Now, every single Gilliam movie comes with you with a backstory of the fights that he's had with his producers, and he was on the show before and he talked about this. In this particular case, I think he lost the battles with the producers. One key thing, his leading lady was going to be Samantha Morton. He was overruled on that. He wasn't allowed to cast Samantha Morton for reasons which fail me, frankly. And instead, the central role went to Lena Headey, who, although I think is a perfectly fine actress, I think was lost in that role. Also, his chosen DP, Nicola Paccarini, was fired.
Director of photography, is it?
Yeah, director of photography, cinematographer, was fired by the, or not fired, was not allowed to continue working on the project by the Weinsteins and was replaced. So, Gilliam was working under very difficult circumstances with very, very hands-on producers, with a cast which wasn't his ideal cast, with a cinematographer who wasn't his first choice cinematographer. Now, I think that the result is a severely compromised Terry Gilliam film, to the point that I think it is the least Gilliam-esque film of his I have ever seen. He, however, was on the show a couple of days ago,
Yes, we put some of these points to him. Here's Terry Gilliam on this program a couple of days ago.
Also about my films, I've discovered over the years, is they seem to have awfully long legs. And I love DVDs for this, because now people, they may see it in the cinema, but the second viewing and the third viewing becomes better and better. And I think it was one of the things, I was in Japan, and this young actress had seen the film, and we were doing a press conference together, and she was, raving about the film. But she said, the thing is, I saw it a second time, and it's even better the second time. And I want Mark to go and watch the film a second time.
Okay, so this is in response to the fact that I had reviewed it in Sight and Sound, and I had said, much as it really depresses me to say so, it's not a Gilliam film. It's not a proper Gilliam film. Basically what it is it's a kind of great big mainstream fairy tale movie that has elements in it in which you can see Gilliam doing what he does brilliantly. And I say this with the greatest respect to Gilliam, because I really think he is one of cinema's true geniuses. But actually, the film itself is incoherent. It's got script problems that have never been resolved, despite or perhaps because of several rewrites. The script itself is rather limp. The central female performance just doesn't cut the mustard in a way that it really, really needs to emotionally involve us. The end of the film is incoherent to the point that, having seen it once, and Terry says I should go and see it again because I would, and I will go and see it again because it actually breaks my heart to tell you how much I didn't like it. Literally made no sense. It's a whole bunch of stuff happened and then the film ended. And I'm not alone in this, because I've asked other people who've seen the film to just explain to me in terms of the plot synopsis, which I had to write incidentally for Sight and Sound, exactly what happens. And you'd be amazed to see how people wrestle with it. Now, this is extraordinary. People have said in the past Terry Gilliam's movies are explosions and they're unruly and they romp all over the place and they're all visual, but there's nothing underneath. This is rubbish. This is the most unfair criticism leveled at Gilliam's movies. Gilliam's movies are fantastically coherent. They do have real stories with real people and real emotions and real points of entry to them. And people who say they don't are just nitwits who don't understand that it is possible for somebody to be a great visual director and also somebody who understands actors and understands personal relationships. And I think that Gilliam has always done that. And I completely despise this sort of, he's a visual stylist and nothing else. No, he isn't. Nor, incidentally, is he somebody who's out of control and flagrant disregard for money and all those things. If you look at Lost in La Mancha, you realise that he's a man who is worrying about every single element of production. That actually, if you allow Gilliam to make the movie he wants to make, he makes something that has a human heart, but also has an extraordinary visual sense. And in the case of this, it's not there. And my rationale for this is that in the end, it's not a Gilliam, it's not un film de Terry Gilliam. It is a film that Terry Gilliam has directed whilst fighting a battle with people who want to make a mainstream Hollywood movie. Now, on several levels, it's failed. It's not the huge hit that it ought to have been in order to justify these compromises. I mean, certainly in America it's done all right, but it hasn't done anything like the business that it should have done. Terry said, when you were interviewing him as well, he said that my review of it sort of smacked of somebody just parroting what the Americans had said, which, look, I mean, he has every right to defend his film, and it's good that he should do, because all films are like children to their directors.